This is the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk on every team in the NHL.
Welcome to Offside by a Mile, the podcast for anything and everything Colorado Avalanche, and the official Avs podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. Well, Jared, finally, a normal Offside by a Mile episode.
With
not a post game, covering actual hockey games. We're back to normal.
It is.
And then next week, not so much.
Then the fury begins.
The fury begins. Oh my god, I can't wait.
The marathon.
The sprint marathon.
Yeah.
It's like a relay, you know? Hopefully the Avs do some Carolina stuff and just get some rest in the middle, but I'm not really holding my breath because this, first of all, the reseeding after every round is going to be crazy.
Definitely.
Like, it's going to be very different because you can't plan ahead. Like, I don't know how. Like, the NHL is advertising that, we'll get our perfect bracket and win $1 million. How the fuck are you going to do that?
Yeah. It's going to be as wild as ever. And
I mean, I guess if you had a perfect bracket, you'd be able to, regardless, it'd be the same. But, it's so much harder when you don't know who's going to play who.
Yeah.
It's just,
I guess that's, part of the, theory behind your madness in that case. It's just this team's going to play this team, and then this team's going to win, and then they'll get reseeded against this team. Yeah,
couldn't imagine.
I'm not even gonna try.
I guess in theory, a perfect bracket is just as hard. It's just a case of to get a decently good bracket. Once shit starts, once you miss a pick or two, it's just all out the window. Probably.
Oh yeah,
it'd be such a shitty fucking deal.
After last year's attempt,
it's not even
trying to.
It's not even last year's. It's this year's, man. The 5 seeds out.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. I couldn't even pick last year, man. You think I can pick this year?
Yeah.
No. It's not going to happen.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, disappointing semi-finish to yesterday's game. I guess it's Sunday today, so Saturday's game against Vegas. However, I mean, the battle was really nice to see out of the Avs, and it gives me a lot of hope.
Yep.
Also heard a lot of talk, especially during that game from NBC, but how clearly the Avalanche and the Golden Knights are the top two teams in this Western Conference right now. Guys, you can't just throw St. Louis out like that. The Avs led for 0.1 second in that game, and you're all of a sudden they're so much better than St. Louis. I want to believe that, but you guys are crazy.
Yeah,
it is. To me, it's very clear, and this isn't a hot take. It's very clear that there's 3 teams out of the 4 that are ahead of the game.
For sure,
Dallas is here, but they're not even close.
Well, yeah.
They can be.
They have some work.
They can be if Ben Bishop goes nuts, but they're never going to win a game 4-0.
Yeah, not mostly, right?
Right? I'm just using 4-0 as a thing, not saying that the Avs are so much better, but Ben Bishop can shut out a team.
Yeah.
And luckily enough for the Avs, they didn't play Ben Bishop against us because he has been the Achilles heel of this team against Dallas this year. So that was nice. The Avs ended up with a nice, juicy victory in that one.
Oh, yeah.
But just straight up, clearly Vegas and the Avs are the top of this Western Conference top 4. Are you guys crazy?
Let's not make assumptions because you know what they say about assumptions.
It's just we're recording right now during the Blues game. They're winning 1-0 against Dallas, and I don't really expect them to finish in last. I assume they're gonna win this game. As Jared said prior to the game, please can Dallas win?
Yeah,
and I think I agree with him. I think I would rather take on Dallas next round than St. Louis.
My inner Flames fan.
But at the same time,
at least we don't have to see a Colorado Flames series again right now.
Right now.
Because I'd like the Flames. Okay, I like the Flames, okay? We know that. I'd like them to get into the second round. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
if they played Colorado, man, they'd lose.
Yeah,
we know.
Man, personally, I thought the Flames were going to lose to the Jets until Laine and Scheifele got knocked out.
Yeah.
I thought Hellebuck was going to be the difference. And he almost was. Like, the Flames won 3-1, but let's not be crazy. That was a pretty close series.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been much, much closer with Scheifele and Laine in the lineup.
Could have been a different story for sure.
But yeah, I think the Avs take the Flames and kick them around again and just skate circles around them because the Flames just don't have the speed.
Yeah, and just, yeah.
Right? And, I mean, if Cam Talbot's the goalie, I really question that.
He's been playing pretty good, though.
He's been fine. I 0% would have expected him to win them the series.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting move, but yeah.
But yeah, so I like you said earlier before we started recording though, like who assuming that Dallas wins and St. Louis wins their series, who would be the more favorable second round matchup? Yeah, Dallas for sure. Again, the Avs beat St. Louis with 0.1 seconds left. That's it. That was a crazy good game,
right? Yeah.
And that's what the whole series would be. And we joked around with Tom and said it would be a great Western Conference final. Sure. The Western Conference final, if we get there, is going to be great regardless.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But yeah, so, I mean, it's just this whole playoffs thing, whatever you want to call it right now, the qualifier, everything going on right now was just insane.
Yeah.
And
big
the tweets
surprises and
that were hilarious to me on Saturday was the fact that there was only 2 hockey games all of a sudden on a Saturday.
Right.
Of all days.
What the hell?
Like, what the hell is this? I got used to 6 or 5 a day.
Hockey for 12 hours straight. Yeah.
That was sad.
Which it's been insane. It's been absolutely insane. Because, like, yeah, sometimes you can have 5 games in a night, but they're within, like, a 5-hour period.
Yeah,
they're not consecutive back-to-back.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
5, they're all 5,
great.
but they're all overlapped, where this was 5 in a row. Just a goddamn amazing day of hockey. My wife was super sick of it by the end of it. She's like, "You're still sitting on the couch watching hockey?"
There's still hockey?
Yeah, I am, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, frig off. But anyway, I guess, do you want to start with Dallas, or do you want to start with Vegas?
No, let's start with Dallas.
The whooping.
The drop kick to the chops.
That was a tough one if you're a Dallas fan.
Yeah, I mean,
I know Mike Farley was not thrilled.
The entire time watching this game, I'm just salivating and just like, this is what people can expect, right? Like, if the Avs are on their game and they're clicking and they got that kind of flow, right? Those quick passing and just beautiful cycling and switching lanes and drop passes and all this, pucks deep, crazy forecheck, turning pucks over. Then you're just hemming the stars in for a minute at a time, like, oh, that is what we can look forward to if the Avs, can play that way.
Yeah.
And, having Arizona now, I feel like this is
a very
good
style.
possibility, right?
It's a very similar style to the Stars where the offense isn't quite there. Obviously, their defensive game is a bit different.
Yeah.
But when you look at them on paper, it's a stingy team with good goaltending that doesn't score a lot.
Yeah.
That's the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, definitely this year, right?
Yeah.
And normally they had a little bit more pep on the offense, right? But this year was just kind of a struggle for them. And it kind of continued, right? We talked with Mike before the whole round robin and all that, and kind of talked about Sagan and Ben, and I haven't really seen much from them, right? Still. So, I mean, yeah, but, oh, man. The power play right off the start, I guess it wasn't right at the start, but...
it was a great draw by MacKinnon.
Yeah.
On the turnover and, gets the game started. This is the power play that I want to see. Because the Avs, officially they went 2 for 5 on the power play. It was basically 3 for 5. Because that Donskoy goal was like 2 seconds after it expired.
Exactly.
And was a direct result of the power play possession, right?
Yeah.
So
pressure.
I'm going to go with 3 out of 5.
Pretty much, right?
But then, I mean, the distinct mirror of that was Vegas, where some of them were okay power plays, but God, some of them were awful, and they went over, and that's why they went to overtime.
Yep.
But yeah,
For
so
sure.
like, again, our boy, the rookie of the year,
Mr. Makar.
Cale Makar.
What a dude. Man, he was absolutely flying in this game, too. Him and MacKinnon in this game, it's just like, yes, that's exactly what I miss.
Yes.
Like, right there.
Yep.
Like, we hadn't really seen that type of chemistry again from them, right? Oh, man, that was just so good to see. And also, I got to say, I think they kept Burakovsky for the rest of the first period on that line, if I'm not mistaken. But then once they slotted Nemestikov up there, that just made like a whole different dynamic on that top line. And I totally respect that decision, and I love it because Burakovsky, for whatever reason, he's one of the Avs, I got to say, who's just not really been there yet.
Yep.
Like he had a nice goal for sure.
Yeah.
Which I hoped would spark him a bit more, right?
Yeah, his usual snipe show.
Right, which is always going to be a weapon. No, regardless of how he's playing, if he can get a shot off like that, like that's, high probability, dangerous chance, right?
It's like, that shot is what Rantanen's missing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Rantanen has every other bit of his game except the finish.
Yeah.
Where Burakovsky's like missing everything but the finish, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the battle from him, and I think that's an issue with having him on the first line is that that you're gonna have to have some defensive responsibility on that top line,
yeah.
especially if Graves and Makar are out there. Makar can handle himself, but Graves, he had some ups and downs throughout the round robin too.
Yeah.
Like just not totally focused in the D zone and not as crisp of passes that we're probably used to from Graves over the course of this year anyway. And Burakovsky just hasn't been there in the battle mentality, From what I was watching, he just wasn't quite there, which is fine because we have all these other tools now, right? Like Nemestikov came up and he was playing so good, throwing his body around on that forecheck. Like he's I can't say enough about how good of a pickup that was. And like I didn't really know Nemestikov at all. I can't lie. Like I don't watch the Senators play ever. Literally.
The only reason I knew him was from Rangers stuff, to be honest. Like, I seen him there before he went to... Because when he went to Ottawa, it was a really questionable trade. Because I think they picked him up early this year, did they not?
I'm not sure, honestly.
And then it was kind of one of those, like, why is Ottawa picking up a guy on an expiring deal? That's weird.
Yeah.
And, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I will take it, because that was a great trade. Looks beautiful. Another great addition by Sakic. We can say this every week.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll still be the same.
But,
goddamn beautiful.
But yeah, and like in this game, it just gave me a lot more faith again in Bednar because of the way that he just shuffled these lines around and it just worked. And they put that second line together like early in training camp with Kadri, Nichushkin, and Landeskog. And that line has been so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, and like it's again, the Avs won 4-0 and Bednar is still tweaked with things the whole time.
Yeah.
So he's not ready. He's not just ready to go, okay, this is it. This is all we got. If he sees something that's not working, he's going to change it up. And the thing is, like we said about this Avs lineup, like there's so many guys that can just play anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Donskoy can play first line, second, third, fourth if you need him to, right? Like Nichushkin, Nemesnikov, Burakovsky, obviously Landeskog. Like there's so many guys that he can just mess around with that'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll fit right in. So it's nice. It's good to see. It's really good for playoff hockey for sure.
Exactly, right? That's kind of a key in playoffs. You got to be able to make those, second decisions.
Right?
Every kind of shift, you got to kind of reassess everything.
How many playoff series are won by the first line? Very rarely.
Well, like if you're saying like opportunistic goals and stuff, that can definitely come from other people.
Well, right. Like think about some of the cup winners, right? Like the Pat Maroon goal last year.
Right. Yeah.
Or just him the whole series. Like Ryan O'Reilly gets the Conn Smythe, but like without
who's the hero, right?
Yeah, without Pat Maroon scoring the overtime winner of that game.
Yeah.
Right? Like Ryan O'Reilly doesn't win that Conn Smythe.
Right.
Right? So it's
even like
second, third, fourth lines like hopefully Pebbles gets his shit going and gets on the board.
He kind of had that breakaway against Vegas. I was like,
come on!
Oh, that would have been the one, dude. I was like, yes, do it.
I thought he had.
Couldn't get it in. It was a good shot too, but
anyway, back to the game on Wednesday with the Stars. I like I said earlier, like the fact that Ben Bishop didn't play was kind of lucky for the Avs. I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah.
Khudobin played outrageous.
He played really good, right?
And
the goals were really nice.
He let in 4 goals on 40 shots.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good day at the office for him. 36 saves. Like that's not bad.
Yeah, you can't go blaming him.
And how many 10 bellers did he have?
He had quite a few very nice saves,
like,
right?
I know he had Matt at the stop of MacKinnon, like, I don't know, halfway through the period.
The one on, I think it was Rantanen at the side of the net, the glove.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, he had some great saves.
He ran and smoked him in the head too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There were so many huge stops by Khudobin.
Yeah.
That it like, I can't believe he didn't just pass out halfway through the game. Like I think was it the third goal when he was just lying on his back after one in. Yeah. And he just like laid there for a bit. It's like, yeah, I feel you, buddy. Feel you.
Exactly.
But yeah, so whatever, 4.5 minutes left in the first. Donskoy gets on the board with that tough, hard-working goal, the donkey goal, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Definitely a hard-working goal, man. Like that.
Yeah.
It was such a beauty. And then he did it again in Vegas against Vegas too. And you're just like,
see,
this is the stuff we need out of Donskoy. 100%.
Exactly, right? And we saw that throughout the year. Like that's a place where he's super effective, right? He's so solid on his feet in front of the net, and he's such a good player to, clean up the rebounds, clean up the mess, put it in the back of the net. He's got really good awareness too in front of the net of like where to shoot the rebound as well. And that's, he's got a little bit of work to do to round up his game, but at least like he's there. So yeah, good work by him, man. And I like that third line too now, and I'll talk about Conferent later.
Yeah, we can talk about him in the Vegas game. That was pretty much the end of the first. Second period was a lot of the same.
I gotta say though, first before we get out of the first period, Frankie, man, with some big saves, and the when Como drove the net there and it almost went in. That was just like intense, right? And that could have changed the complexity of the game a little bit.
Yeah, I guess before the end of the first, I forgot there was that PK right at the end. That like the Avs PK was good. Yeah, like really good on that one. Obviously, Stars went 0 for 2. Like it was a nice night for the PK, but again, it's hard to judge good PK or bad PP.
Yeah, but I do have to say we looked aggressive. Yeah, which agreed. I love, and I feel like that's how Avs PK is good.
Man, I know it's way easier said than done, but think about the power plays that we get against the penalty kills that really do damage to us. Mm-hmm. It's the aggressive PKs every single time.
Yep. High pressure and really mobile wingers.
I know you need the right personnel to accomplish the aggressive PK, because when you're aggressive, shit happens, and all of a sudden, obviously for me, I know this, but you look at the Leafs game 4, that game winner in overtime, Columbus aggressive PK, all of a sudden Austin Matthews is wide open on the entire opposite side of the sheet from the puck.
Steve Dangle video of that. And here's Matthews all alone.
There's literally 4 guys. The entire Columbus Blue Jacket penalty kill is on the puck, basically. And Austin Matthews is far side, completely wide open. And that's the shit that happens on a penalty kill when you're aggressive.
Yeah.
But you stop so many chances prior to that it's worth the gamble to me.
And I think in those cases too, is it's forcing the PP to make a play.
Well, that exactly right. Because if the more pressure you put on players, even the MVP in the league, if we want to joke around about that, but MacKinnon, if you pressure him, he's going to make way more mistakes than if you don't. Obviously, right? And that's the thing with a power play. If you leave Landeskog, Rantanen, MacKinnon, Cale, Makar, and Nazem Kadri on the ice with no pressure, they're going to pass it around you and put it in the net.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's part of the problem with the Avs PK sometimes is they're a little too passive. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to play a box and just stand there and hope they don't get to the middle.
Yeah.
But eventually a good team with a good power play is going to pass it through you, make you move, and now all bets are off.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you move, it's just fucked. And like you said, that first penalty kill was very aggressive, and it worked out really well. That being said, it's a starters team that we know doesn't have the greatest offensive ability at the moment. So it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm stoked that the PK looked good.
Yeah. And
right?
I mean,
that's good enough. That's all you can ask. You can only play against who you're playing against.
Yeah, and if we're looking overall throughout the round robin, I gotta say the special teams look pretty good.
Yeah.
Like quite
Mostly.
a bit. Yeah, there was some, hiccups
Vegas
here and there.
makes
for
me
sure.
sad.
Yeah. But like overall, I thought, I got a pretty good impression from it, and good battle level on the PK, and for the most part, really good, strong puck movement, and getting pucks to net on the PP.
But yeah, like that. The first period was picture perfect.
Yeah, it was
Please
good.
let's do that again every time.
Yeah.
Before we get in the second period, I had the note for Kadri's sandal purchase.
Oh yeah,
the Gucci sandals,
Gucci.
or the Gucci slips or whatever the fuck. I don't.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's sick.
Especially from a guy like Kadri who doesn't make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like his contract is very favorable. I mean, he still makes millions of dollars. He can buy some Gucci sandals, but like. He's not ranting in here.
It's a bro move.
It is a bro move. I saw a couple tweets asking if Bednar had some, and I'm really curious as to the answer to that.
Hopefully.
I hope Kadri hooked him up with
He
some
deserves
sandals.
some. Yeah.
Be really funny, like, you get a pair of sandals, you get a pair. No, fuck you. You make me skate. Fuck you, man.
Took me off the second line that one game, so screw you.
Anyway, the second. Friggin' Nichushkin started the second so good.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So good.
Man, like, he's flying. Oh, man. I'm so glad that he's playing like he has been all season.
That's got to be a tough one for
concerned.
Dallas to watch.
Oh, no doubt. That's a little,
Like we've talked about it a million times. He was not this player in Dallas, or he'd still be there. But it's just one of those, like, it's the Oilers watching Devin Dubnyk go mental.
It's
the
all about,
Oilers watching Cam Talbot win a series.
Yeah, it's all about, opportunity and all that kind of crap, right?
He needed to get healthy, and once he got healthy, he went
That
back
too.
to normal too, right? That's part of it. But yeah, Nichushkin drew a penalty to start the period. That power play was awful.
That was the bad one.
Awful.
Just couldn't get the puck in the freaking zone.
The Frankie shot, or the Frankie save, 9 minutes into the period, I think. The Altitude boys were getting full chub on that one. The best part to me, they were like, "Oh, it was such a great save by Frankie," and it was a good save by Frankie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna downplay it, but he did not read that shot to save his life.
Yeah.
If you watch his glove movement, he thought it was going high, and all of a sudden it was just not. It was just it was a really weird one because just Frankie freaks out and throws his glove up and just "Oh shit, nope."
Yeah.
Right, and it could have been a scary one, especially if it's just above the pad. That's probably in.
Yeah.
But it was definitely his best save of the game to that point, I think.
And he had lots of traffic in front of him throughout this second period and lots of rebound chances.
There was 6 minutes left. Freaking, he made 3 big saves on rebounds.
And just such good tracking of and staying square, staying on that angle, that strong angle. He was really, really, really good.
The Nemesnikov goal was pretty funny too. I can't remember exactly how it happened, but it was a messed up pass or something, and then he just buries it.
Right.
It was just another one of those ones where you're like, I'm not really sure. Oh no, it wasn't. It was just
a rebound.
Yeah, it was a couple of rebounds.
MacKinnon
right?
shot.
Yeah, and just Hudobin's just sitting there guys, help, help.
Yeah, and that that's goes back to when Bednar decided I'm gonna throw Vlad up there on the first line.
Yeah,
I was thinking too. I keep calling him Vlad, but it's Nichushkin is Vlad as well. But we just call him Chuchi, okay? But
every time I see Vlad, I'm like, Nichushkin, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, this is the one where Kudobin just lays down. He's like, God damn, dude. Come on, man.
And then right at the end of the period, Rantanen draws another freaking penalty. Just he was a man on a mission. He just could not finish.
Yeah, and he'll get there. And what I love about seeing the games that he's played, all of these round robins, is that his battle level is right there.
Yeah.
And he's looking really strong.
Yeah, like I know,
puck, you know?
I think I was talking to you guys about it in the group chat, and I wasn't super thrilled about Rantanen's game. Like, it's not his game; it's just his finish, and I want him to have more chances to like try and develop the finish.
Right.
But he's literally doing everything else, and to be honest, that's good enough right now.
Yeah, and I mean that'll come. You know that'll come, especially for him. And he had those times during the year too, with like pretty much the exact same thing where he's everywhere but the score sheet.
Yeah,
right?
like dude's like every time he's on the ice, he's got the puck.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, so
you can't be bad. You can't be too mad about it.
yeah, exactly, and especially when we're winning.
That too.
It's like, oh well, he's not scoring, other people are. So you know,
his penalty that he drew at the end of the period turns into the nice power play goal from Burakovsky that we were talking about earlier to start the third. Again, it's Burakovsky's typical glove side, just ripper.
Yeah,
like just
as tight as it can be.
Good luck, man.
It's so good, and honestly, it's good that he's on the score sheet already because I know for him, he's
streaky,
and he's meant like he's got. Mental issues, I think, like, I don't know exactly, but he seems to be more free the ice when he's productive.
I was going to say, like, I wouldn't call it an issue. It's just that he when he gets confident, it just elevates his game so much more. And again, that we've talked about a million times. The mental side of the game is so hard for everyone. And to be consistently,
especially in the playoffs,
to be consistently at the top of your game is not easy. There's a reason why it's the top of your game,
and I think that's why the Avs have just such a good machine here to go through the playoffs, especially this year. Like we thought it was, pretty good last year. This is a different team. That's what everyone has to remember. Is we got knocked out last year, but this year it's going to be a lot harder. And like if our top line isn't scoring. That doesn't necessarily mean as much as it used to, right? Yeah. Like, it used to be, if you can shut down the big three, okay, maybe you have a chance. Well, now we got, like, the second and third wave here of offense, and not to mention the defense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
Not a whole lot went on in the third, really. Landeskog took that cross-checking penalty.
Yeah.
I mean.
Some of the penalties, oh, man, I'm hoping
it's the goddamn standard for penalties across the board right now.
Yeah.
It's just
it was. I'm hoping they let the leash up a bit once we get into this first round, and I think they will.
Yeah.
But it's just holy shit. Some of the little like soft hooks,
the ticky tack stuff,
little soft cross checks.
We're gonna get into it, but like the Vegas interference calls,
some of the interference calls,
and exactly. Now on Twitter. A lot of Avs Twitter was bitching about the Donskoy interference, and then was it Landeskog interference later?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
MacKinnon.
It was MacKinnon. Yeah, the second one was.
They were the exact same penalty.
In a way,
it's a guy that's not playing the puck.
Yeah,
getting in the way of a guy that's trying to backcheck or put pressure on the guy with the puck on the same team as the guy who plays interference. It's a penalty, and to me. As soft as they look, because they don't look like they're going to hurt anybody, those got to get called, and they're not going to get called in the playoffs. They're not.
Well, like
I hate them.
Thing,
because,
right?
But the thing is like, everybody knows how much back pressure is a problem to deal with on offense. You can't just let a guy stop the guy from back pressuring. And that's why those penalties got to get called.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how mad you are, those are penalties all day. And like the Donskoy one, to start, I was like, where the hell was that penalty? And then I saw the replay. I'm like, oh yeah, well, fucking so and so has the puck already, and the Dallas guy's trying to go make a play, and he just makes more space. Well, he made more space for the guy. That's not legal.
Yeah.
And then MacKinnon did the exact same thing, because I think it was Makar that had the puck or something. Somebody was skating the puck out of the zone, and MacKinnon just decides, I'm going to sneak in between and make more space. It's a penalty, right? It's one of those penalties, especially in the playoffs, that you're not going to see a lot because it doesn't change possession of the puck.
I feel like
they don't normally get called. But the thing is, right, is another reason why they don't look that great is because if both of those guys are going to play the puck, it's just a body battle trying to be the first to the puck.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with it is because you're not playing the puck. Somebody else already is playing the puck, right? That's why it's got to be a called penalty, right?
Fair enough.
But again, like you said, though, or we've said, like the cross-checking standard with this Landeskog one, like the standard is just crazy. And I think part of the reason why the standards look all over the board is because of how much hockey we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And every ref or every pair of refs have a different standard, or like they see things different. The game management's different. So it's hard. It's very hard to keep the standard across what have we seen? Probably 50 games already?
I don't even know. Probably close to that.
It's probably almost 50 games.
Yeah.
Maybe 45.
Yeah.
It's really hard to keep a standard straight.
Yeah.
It's the ones where it's in game and you like see like a half-ass cross-check like Landeskog's become a penalty, and then all of a sudden there's a board battle and this guy's just hammering on somebody's back.
Right.
We can go to the Vegas game again. The Kadri cross-check that he took in the ribs or in the kidney or whatever you want to, wherever he got it, not a call.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and see, that game was called a lot less, like, stingy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean...
Yeah, I don't...
We'll see. It'll probably, smooth itself out.
Don't expect the Avs to get 6 power plays in a playoff game.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to happen often.
But yeah, so, I mean, that's Dallas. We'll move on to Vegas here in a bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, that game was just... And see, once we're going to get into the Vegas game, the forecheck, that's like one of the biggest things about our game is when our forecheck is on. That's our style, right?
Yep.
It's get pucks deep, forecheck, turn the puck over, contain the offensive zone. That's how we score how many of our goals. Like,
as much as it's nice to watch Nathan MacKinnon rush down the ice and rip one shelf,
it is nice.
It's so hard to do in the playoffs.
It's going to be a lot harder once we get into these tougher teams and more sound defense for sure. Like Arizona, probably not going to give up too many of those crazy MacKinnon rushes, although he'll create them for himself, because he always does. But you're not going to see mistakes by the Arizona defense to allow that kind of rush opportunities all the time, for sure. So
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie, huge game, big shutout. I mean, there's nothing crazy.
No.
And this is why, the whole debate, I'm sure we're going to get into that in a bit, about who should Bednar start in net. It wasn't the same kind of offense going against Frankie.
Neither game that Grubauer played.
Exactly. Like Grubauer had to play St. Louis and Vegas, and those two offenses have a lot more pep right now than the Dallas Stars, especially Vegas. So it's like you gotta play it by who we're playing too, and both goalies were good the entire time, and it's a really good thing that Frankie was able to put in a solid performance, and nothing too crazy, but just solid, and got the shutout. It's sweet, and it's his first ever postseason game.
Yeah.
And gets a shutout. So,
I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
Before we get into the Vegas game, we do have another ad this week, or whatever you want to call it, a little how do you do on a
little howdy doody
THPN show. This week is the House of Hockey podcast.
Hell yeah.
The all-female show for the Hockey Podcast Network. They're talk about anything and everything hockey. Here's a little bit of a snippet from them, and have a listen.
Hey hockey fans, I'm Breezy.
And I'm Ray Ray. We host the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network.
We're lifelong hockey fans who talk about the game and the lifestyle. Our guests include professional hockey players.
My rookie party had to wear Speedo, and then we had a checklist of stuff we had to do.
Here we go, Gaber. What do you got to say? And it's kind of like, you know better than that now, boys.
I got dressed for the Bruins. Get a phone call. He's like, dude, we need you over here by the elevator. You got to get downstairs. You got to get dressed right now.
Started playing the dun, 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 and I turned it around and it had the Olympic rings and said, we did it.
NHL team hockey reporters.
I actually took the Stanley Cup to this ice bar where they've got now girls around them, and I've got a fur coat on.
I wonder who he shoot checked over here. And then I looked down at my feet.
Hockey fans.
The entire bar was lined with guys in Kings jerseys. We quickly realized, oh my gosh, this is the dad's trip.
And we bring unique hockey stories to light.
Coming back to England, 24 rings in the entire country. That's where the problem starts with the sport of ice hockey here.
Canadian Blind Hockey Association, those few kids we interviewed, their whole week is built around Sunday at the rink. They're just hockey players.
We don't agree on everything.
Pineapple goes on pizza.
No, it does not.
I think it does. But we do agree that there are many people and places that build the House of Hockey.
New episodes every Tuesday. Come on in to the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network.
Okay, so now to the Vegas game that more or less wasn't exactly what we hoped for. I think I don't like being the who would you rather guy, because then when you pick a team and then you lose to said team, it makes you look like a fucking idiot. That being said, in our poll that we put up on Saturday, I personally picked Arizona because I didn't want to deal with Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane, Brandon Saad.
The veteranship.
The championship pedigree that is the Chicago Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, they are an easier team, hypothetically, for the Avs to beat. That being said, the intangibles are what lost the Oilers the series.
And you never know with a veteran team like that, off a heater, off some momentum, what they're going to do. And honestly, I see a situation where Chicago does go somewhere in these playoffs. You never know, right?
You can't count them out now.
I feel like they have a better chance of that than the Coyotes, but you never know.
But yeah, so I would have preferred the Avs just win this game, look really good, look really powerful, and beat Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. It was a very competitive game. I'm not saying the Avs looked bad, but the Avs never had a lead. They lost the game in overtime. The power play was shitty. I did say earlier that it went 0 for 6 on the power play. It was 1 for 6. That being said, it felt like a 0 for 6.
Yeah, I mean,
there was the thing is there was some good power plays for sure. Like the 5-on-3 was good.
Oh yeah,
the 5-on-3 before the end of the first, right? I think it was the end of the first that it happened.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was right at the end of the first. It was the Braden McNabb cross-check / interference.
Yep.
Oh my God, surprise! Braden McNabb with 2 humongous cross-checks in the first period.
What a douchebag.
Wow, what a surprise. Huh. Couldn't imagine him getting a penalty for that.
Yeah.
Now, the best part is he didn't actually get a penalty for cross-checking, even though both of them were huge cross-checks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Avs 5-on-3 looked good. But they didn't move. They didn't how many shots did the Avs get blocked on that 5-on-3?
Yeah.
5?
True. Yeah.
What? There's only 3 of them.
It made them look a lot better.
Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that does get a little scary when it comes to the PP, because sometimes it's rough. And that's why it's rough. It's not because the talent's not there. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
And the movement was really there on Wednesday against Dallas. And it was fine. It was fine against Vegas, but 6 chances and only coming out with 1 power play goal. Yes, percentage-wise, 2 out of 6 would have been pretty solid. But every power play doesn't need to score. Every power play needs to generate momentum.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Period. End of story. In the playoffs, that is the biggest thing. Like we say, we're going to be on with Corey and Richie, the Arizona podcast, in a minute here. Well, a minute. Offside by a mile a minute, so 20 minutes. But,
a minute, a mile.
Yeah,
yeah. Close enough.
Playoff hockey, the power plays, you're not going to see 6 power plays in the game. You're not. And if you do, you better have 3 power play goals.
You better win the game.
Yeah, you have no excuse. And another one of those things, too, I think this about the majority of NHL hockey games. If you don't score on a 5-on-3, you don't deserve to win that hockey game. Period. End of story. The Avs didn't do it.
With an extended 5-on-3 like we had.
It was almost a minute and a half.
I was going to say it had to have been at least around a minute and a half. Yeah. So, yeah, you got to make something happen there. Yeah.
But, and there was the really, really nice save by Hudobin on the Rantanen shot. I think it was right at the end of the 5-on-3. Which...
Leonard.
Or, sorry... Yeah, this isn't Dallas anymore, Jim. 6 games a day has melted my brain.
It's okay. It's because we're in the round robin.
Yeah, I mean, I only have to
Camper, and we'll only think about.
I literally only have to talk about one team for the next 2 weeks, probably.
That'd be nice.
This is great. Anyway, such an idiot. Yeah, Leonard's save on Rantanen was really nice, but that was the only real scoring chance on that 5-on-3.
Yeah, I mean, the entire first period was. It was interesting to watch. It was. Considering I just watched some UFC fights last night, it looked like a very high caliber, maybe, even championship kind of fight where they're just feeling each other out because they know how dangerous each other are. And they know that it only takes that little bit of space to, make something happen. That's what it really felt like for a lot of that first period. It was just like feeling out process. No one's really taking big chances / not able to get those big chances.
Yeah. That was another thing too. Like there wasn't. I think when was Grubauer's massive save? Was it in the second?
I think that was in the second period. Yeah.
That sliding across his body shot that he made. Poof! What a nice save.
Yeah.
But it was a game like that where the chances they weren't very dangerous, but when they once in a while they came and they were huge chances.
Yeah.
And both goalies were up to the task for the most part. There was 4 goals in this game that were absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
Like just garbage plays. They just found their way into the net.
That was the only way they could score.
Yeah, right. And that's all you can ask for out of your goalies. Was it I think it was the first or second goal where Grubauer kind of got stuck out of the crease because the Av player was all over the Dallas Star player. Can't remember who it was. I didn't write it down. But Grubauer literally just couldn't. Oh, it was the Reeves goal, whenever that was.
Yeah, I think that was the second goal of the game, right?
And it's just you can't blame your goalie on that.
Goal for them.
Leonard, there was a couple of crappy bounces on him. There was another crappy bounce on Grubauer. It's just, it's just the way it goes. But that's playoff hockey.
Yep.
You have to get used to that, and you have to bounce back. And the Avs did. The Avs really, really did against Vegas.
Yep.
Right? That Reeves goal goes in, and, I don't know, how quick was it after that? A minute, 2 minutes? 2 minutes after that, a little less. The Avs tied it. Right? And
I guess it wasn't Reeves technically that put it in.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was Reeves too.
Sorry, Wall.
But
you should know that.
Exactly. A minute and a half later.
Yeah.
I guess 2 minutes later. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a minute and 56 seconds.
Donskoy gets back.
But
in his
another
area.
shit show goal where Donskoy basically scores from behind the net and just dives in front and taps it in.
Yeah.
Right, and it's just, but that's exactly how you got to do it. And then the penalty shot goal. I mean, in the third, is what it is, right? It's just...
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt. And it most definitely was the right call.
Oh, yeah, that's a penalty shot all day.
I saw a lot of criticism. That was Graves, I think, right?
Yeah.
I saw a lot of criticism on him for that play. I don't really necessarily blame him. I feel like it's better to try... I don't know. As a goalie, what do you think? Is it better to have that spur of the moment breakaway, or is it better to get that penalty shot?
I feel like it's the thing that's weird about it is because you start to think of shootouts like you do penalty shots, right? Because it is the same thing, quote unquote. It's just not as high intensity, right?
Yeah, it doesn't mean quite the same amount, I guess.
I feel as a goalie, I don't know. You'd have to do the math.
It's different.
You'd have to
goalies.
really do the math because the thing is, penalty shots. There's a guy chasing them. They don't have all the time in the world. But I feel like when guys are legitimately all alone on a breakaway live game, they score a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's a shootout, the scoring drops dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like penalty shots are somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
When it comes to success rate, you'd have to do the math. You'd have to actually, take a tally and find some stats, which I'm sure some advanced stats guy has, but I think you prefer the penalty shot as a goalie.
Right.
I think you do. You should. To me, you shouldn't, because the guy should have more pressure on him during a play, right? Because if Graves is behind him, he can't slow up like he did.
Right.
Right. He came in pretty slow on Grubauer and just shelved it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
which obviously you couldn't do live. But I find that the live ones, just because the speed is already there, man, I find guys really bury a lot live.
That's kind of how I kind of think about it too. And also, I feel like on a straight up breakaway, there's a lot less thinking. And see, I find this might be different between player to player, goalie to goalie as well. But by the fact that it's more reactionary off a straight up breakaway, right? It's more just feel and like I'm not thinking as much. I'm just trying to get there and trying to score. Whereas
that player, because again, that's why
I mean it is Marcia.
That's why I find it's somewhere in the middle between a penalty shot and, somewhere in the middle between a live game breakaway versus a shootout shot. Because guys seem to, the goalie's got more time to think. The players got more time to think. Some players get in their own head. Some guys try and do too much. Whereas on a breakaway in game, guys go to their basic instinct of this is how I bury on goalies in practice all the time, or whatever, or in game or whatever. Right, the forehand, backhand. Like guys have their own move, and the goalie doesn't have time to square up. The goalie doesn't have time to react, get his timing and all that nice. So it's just, I don't know. I like Graves taking him out and taking the penalty shot. It's just,
I think it's worth the shot, right?
So why?
Because maybe you don't even catch feet. Maybe you do just catch straight stick or puck, right? And
I think
that actually disrupts it.
I think if you're going to get in on anything, it's why the fuck was he open?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. How is Marcia so open behind?
That's why I don't think a criticism of Graves there is like in doing what he did to draw the penalty shot.
I think you criticize him and his partner for the fact that he even had the option.
Exactly.
Right. This is the NHL. You can't give Marshall a breakaway.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. If there's someone on that team too who you don't want to have a breakaway, that's probably like target number one. Yeah. Almost. Yeah. You know.
But yeah, so I mean, we kind of talked about it just before the break there. The Donskoy interference call in the first, it's a penalty. It's a penalty all day. I think that's a penalty in the playoffs too, to a point.
What do you think about Nate's unsportsmanlike penalty?
Because I don't know what he said, I got to go with the ref. I'm sure he said something. I'm sure I'm sure the ref wasn't being a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I think too, and
I think
we know that Nate's not a nip tuck, kiss ass.
Yeah,
he's not a kiss ass. That's for sure. He'll say what he wants to say.
What I'm surprised by is the fact that he actually was bitching about an icing.
Yeah, I mean,
and got a penalty out of it, and
that's
it's
just the weird thing.
I hope he never does it again.
Yeah, and I mean,
but B, he did redeem himself and scored. I can't remember who I saw on Twitter, but they're like, "Oh, he's pissed now, so he's gonna score," and then boom, he scores.
Right, of course.
But Classic. He had to. He scored on his own team with that penalty.
Yeah.
Because of course, and then this is the other thing with the 5-on-3. It's the old Don Cherry mentality. If you're all over a team and you don't score, when they score on you, it is so deflating.
Yeah. Because
you've been all over them and you couldn't beat them. It's the Ben Bishop effect.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When the Avs are all over Ben Bishop and then all of a sudden the Stars just score and it's 1-0 the other way and you're like, man, what do we have to do here?
Right.
Now we're losing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
We just put 7 shots straight on them.
The Avs had a 5-on-3 power play. Whether or not the penalties were the McNabb cross-check was awful. That's a terrible penalty to take.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make them pay.
Yeah.
Right? Braden McNabb took 2 brutal cross-checking penalties.
Yeah, would have been
the
nice.
Avs didn't make them pay one time on that, or make him pay once. You have to make guys pay.
Yeah.
What did Vegas do? They go make MacKinnon pay for being an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? And then, yes, like I said, MacKinnon ties the game later, but that could have been a go-ahead goal.
Yeah.
Be pissed off, don't take the penalty, and then go score and be pissed off anyway, right? It's a bad move, period. You cannot take those kind of penalties in the playoffs. You can't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, if the ref was being soft and just had his feelings hurt, then we have something to talk about. Yeah. But we'll never hear what was said.
Get him mic'd up. Was he mic'd up that game?
Well, I'm sure you could have heard it. I'm sure you could,
yeah.
But I'm sure it was on mute.
Yeah,
and you'll never hear it, which is kind of unfortunate. I'd like to know, but I mean, people will get. This is the NHL. These refs take a lot of schmack before they give unsportsmanlike all the time. I'm sure there was something there.
They already got a break too because they don't have the crowd there.
Yeah,
being like, "You suck, crowd." Got Jimmy John out there with 8 beers deep, and he's just laying into the ref. But yeah, I guess one other thing I wanted to mention about this game, and I kind of mentioned him earlier, was JT Compher. And he stepped up big time. And he's had such an interesting season this year. And even like just going back to last season and thinking about just like the transformation of his responsibilities in a way, and that he isn't as called upon to be that depth scorer. Like, he was kind of one of the better depth scorers, right, on Colorado previous to this season.
Yep.
Because really, who else was there in a way?
Yep.
He doesn't have to do that this year, right?
No.
Like, he didn't have to at all. And I found, you know, even throughout the season, there were times when he did step up and he did clutch out some games this year. That kind of goes for Jost as well, but he's not even playing right now, which is crazy to think in a way.
It's crazy to think that this team has so much power that Jost cannot play.
Yeah. But man, like on the Donskoy rebound goal that he gets to tie the game at 2, that's all Compher, man. He brings that puck from all the way on the left side, I believe. It's left side of the net. Brings it all the way over to try and create something on the right. Or was it even like a wraparound? I can't even remember.
The Donskoy goal, you said?
Yeah. Anyway, he's making big plays to try and drive some momentum to the front of the net there.
Yeah.
And he does it again later on. And like, I just think that's gonna be so vital in these playoff series. Like, even in this Arizona series, if we end up having even 1 or 2, you know, lines shut down, we have someone like Compher on that third line who's going to drive something. If he feels like he's needed, he's gonna try and do something, and he's got the skill to do it too. So, I mean, it was good to see that. That was a really good sign because honestly, I hadn't really noticed him in the other 2 games, like whatsoever. Didn't really notice him too much, and I think that's partially due to those top 2 lines.
That third line was kind of sort of not noticeable,
right?
Period. Before this game, like all of them.
Yep.
Donskoy was like, he was there, but he just wasn't. You could tell he wasn't feeling it.
Right.
Now, it's shaped up nicely to start the real playoffs right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which again, we said on the last episode, where it's fucking so nice that we weren't part of the elimination round, just so you have the time to get into playing hockey, meaningful hockey again.
Right. A little bit of a buffer for sure.
Right. So yeah, there's that. Again, the battle in the third to tie the game with the net empty again was just a lovely, lovely thing. And the fact that Compher is the one that gets credit. Oh, yeah.
Exactly, right?
Which I thought Compher was the one that scored the second one.
Me too. It pretty much looked like it.
It looked like he got it. My GIF that I sent to the Vegas guys was for Compher, and he didn't score.
It was his work anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to bug you about that too, but I was like,
I got the credit.
Compher did the work
Compher,
anyway.
man. Compher had a good game, for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and we talked, I don't know if we talked about it, honestly. I can't remember if it's in our recording or if it's on Corey and Richie on their show, but I was talking about Eric Johnson.
Yeah, I was there.
And man, like, I hadn't seen that kind of drive from him. He's going to be huge in these playoffs.
Yep.
You know he's going to be huge because he's going to be that number 1 shutdown D-man. And honestly, if we're talking about shutdown D-man, Big Z looked pretty good too. He had a little bit of some soft plays, I would say, in this game.
Well, yeah, that now that I think about it, it was Big Z and it was Ian Cole that were on the ice for that second one.
Yeah, the Reeves and Roy.
Raw goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and it's
a little soft.
We've been saying it all year. That pairing cannot get out muscled.
Yeah, Cole and
they are the ones that are on this team because they're the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, night in, night out, it's a guy like Cale Makar that works harder than they do.
Yeah.
And in the playoffs, that pairing cannot get outworked because they don't have the ability to finesse it out of the zone. They got to outwork it out of the zone.
Yeah.
And
they
I hope that Big Z can find the rhythm and get in there, because we need him to be a shutdown guy. We need Cole to be a shutdown guy. Yes, we joked around on the Sporty Show that it's Ian Cole's career high offensive year.
Yeah.
I would like him to get on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's a snipe from the point that we got lucky with a couple times this year, but I want to see him create some offense. But I need him to play defense. I need him to be a nice, stable defenseman back there.
Objective number 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, other than some of the, soft plays, I guess you could call them, in this game for Big Z and Cole, I guess we can kind of put them together. I thought overall they've looked pretty good.
Yep.
And calm. I think that's the biggest thing with Zadorov, is having that calmness.
Yeah.
Because when he starts to get a little jittery and gets the yips a bit, that's when he starts giving up pucks in the D zone.
He was flying around in this game, and it was good. It was good to see, because you can see the confidence build up when he does that.
Exactly.
And it's nice because he didn't throw himself out of position on Saturday's game or in Saturday's game, so that was fine. Like I'm okay with it. I need that to stay.
Right.
We I can't remember who it was, but I saw it on Twitter on Saturday. And it's a thing, like if Big Z is Big Z from October, early November, hell yeah. The Avs have a very formidable 6-man defense core.
Yeah.
6-man defense core. If he's not, then it changes things big time. Because that's the guy they're missing. We talked about it at the trade deadline too. The guy that the Avs are missing is a really stable defensive defenseman for that third pair.
Yeah.
And it's got to be Big Z. It's got to be.
Yeah. And I mean, this, okay, so this is his contract year? No, it's next year, right? That's the thing, too. Like, he's got to think about that, too. Like, you got to put yourself in a position where you're reliable, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, you want a position on this team, it starts right now. Like, this is, like, your biggest spotlight opportunity. And you're going to be getting a lot of attention on you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's playoff time. Every single player, you can't hide players in the playoffs, right?
No.
And the moment you start to hide players, that's when your other players get in trouble.
Well, I mean, we can go back. The last time I can think of a team that had success hiding players was the last Chicago Blackhawks Cup win.
Yep.
When they played 4 defensemen for that
pretty
whole
much
run.
Yeah.
The difference
doesn't happen
is
very often.
The difference is Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook were 2, and Hjalmarsson were 3 of the 4. And then I think it was
what's his name?
Daly?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, he's brown. That's all I can think of.
I was thinking like Dawes or something.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is though.
Nigel Dawes, he's not a defenseman.
Yeah, that's not a defenseman.
But like the 3 of the 4 of those defensemen were like top echelon players.
Yeah.
They could get away with that. But if you look at the Avs top 4, like EJ is good, but he's not Brent Seabrook shutdown.
And I don't quite think he has the same kind of endurance
and then, like,
gas tank that
true.
they do.
And Cale Makar is not that. Gerard is not that. Graves is not that. The Avs are built for a 6-man defense crew.
Yeah.
And that means all 6 need to work.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have confidence. I have confidence Big Z can do it for 2 months. He's just got to get it in between the ears that he has to work hard every night.
And we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen he can play at a very high level. And
he's healthy.
And not in just defensively though. That's the thing, is like he's got technique and skill and like a good mind when he's on top of it, right?
He's healthy.
Yeah.
And he's rested. There's no excuse.
Yep. Straight up.
It's got to be effort. It's got to be effort every single night, and I think he can do it.
Yep, me too.
I don't even know where we are anymore. I'm just trying to think of the good stuff that happened there, the big stuff.
I mean, the big stuff for me, I guess we're kind of through second period, yeah?
You can go wherever you want. We kind of just went all over the board.
That's kind of how we're doing it today, okay?
We talked about all 6 goals already, so.
Yeah, exactly. Just, honestly, the biggest thing I felt where we fell short in this game, And especially in a third period where it's so tight and you're needing that kind of energy, is just basically our forecheck was not where it needed to be at all. And we were making way too many plays, looking like Toronto out there trying to lose games against Columbus, like that whole third period for Toronto. It's like, get the puck deep. You cannot make anything happen if you're just giving up these soft passes at the blue line or just over the blue line, and they're picking it off and they're going the other way. Just get the puck deep. That's how we work.
Playoff hockey.
To forecheck.
Playoff hockey against a team like we're going to see in Arizona.
It's going to be important.
Like defensive teams, you can't turn the puck over in the neutral zone. You can't do it
because that's what they thrive on too, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, going into this series, and I mean it's only one game, and it is against Vegas. Vegas is a good team. They have big bodies, like we kind of talked about with Corey and Richie.
Yep.
Big bodies. They implement that like grindy game. Arizona kind of has that too, right? We're gonna need that forecheck. Like we can't bumble around trying to play skill. Maybe at times we're gonna be able to, but when things aren't working, it's forecheck. Get that forecheck going, because that's how we create most of our opportunities, right? So,
man,
it's gonna be big.
One thing I forgot about till just now: how amazing would it have been if Pebs scored on his little breakaway, half breakaway thing, shorthanded.
Oh man, I was so hoping, and he had a good shot too. It was close.
If Belmar would have got that, that would have been amazing. He would have scored if he was on Fleury, 100%.
He probably would have
100% chance. If that was Marc-Andre Fleury and net, he scores that.
It's funny because Vegas Nightly, the newly appointed Vegas podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network, we're kind of joking around, of course, on Twitter and stuff, and they said before the game, there's no Pebs goal tonight or whatever they said because Fleury's not in net. It's like, oh, you bastards.
It was a shame.
You were right, but
I'm really blown away with them going with Leonard.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
And
I guess that's what they're doing, it seems like. And I mean, why change it, I guess, at this point?
Man, it's the same as what we just watched in the Dallas game. Yeah, like the Dallas Blues game. Like, why would you start?
What's going on with that?
Why would you start the guy that's not going to start your playoff series in the last game? Like, I again will bet a house payment on Grubauer starting game 1 against Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
He did nothing.
I'm sure.
He did nothing in that game to make me say that he's not playing. You
Both
can
his
say
games.
like I haven't seen it on Twitter, thankfully, but there's the Frankie fans out there like, oh, he had a shutout. Grubauer didn't even get 1 shutout in 2 games. Man, the quality of opponent was better, especially offensively on both games.
Mm-hmm.
He was a stud against the Blues.
Yep.
And he made some really good saves, and the goals that went in against Vegas was a penalty shot and then 2 junky bounces.
Yeah. Pretty much, right?
One of those junky bounces was because his teammate wouldn't let him play goalie.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't blame him at all, and that's kind of my thought process throughout this entire goalie. I don't know
but again,
what you can call it, but he hasn't lost his starting position.
No, I agree.
Just Frankie's putting up really good performances, which is perfect.
I think we said it last pod. It's like it's unfortunate, but it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's unfortunate that Frankie isn't going to get starts because he deserves to get starts, but it's awesome because Bednar can literally choose any of them. It doesn't matter.
And honestly, it's good that they both got tested a lot, you know. It's making them get into that mindset, that situational, desperation kind of lock it down emotionally mindset.
Agreed.
And who knows, knock on wood, if Grubauer struggles a bit, are we worried? Because, boom, throw in Frankie. And the team's going to respond, too. If we have to pull him mid-game or something, that's a good shakeup. That's in the back pocket of Jared Bednar, for sure. True. So, I ain't even worried.
Could get the old Columbus thing going. Pull the Corpusalo, put in the Elvis, and then win a game 3 after being down 3-0.
Yeah, we all know Torts ain't scared to pull that move.
Man.
I freaking love Torts.
One last thing on this game. Why can Nazem Kadri not score an easy goal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wide open net. for the 3-3 goal, and he hits it off the crossbar.
It's like the same thing against St. Louis, right?
And then Confer hammers it in. And it's just like, man, you could just put it in the 4x6 and calls it a day, right?
He likes to make things hard
17
on himself.
seconds left against St. Louis, and he misses the net by a mile.
Yeah.
This one, wide open net, literally at the top of the crease, and he chunks it off the crossbar somehow. It's just like, he's got, man, you know where you learned that from? Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel can't score tap in to save his life either. And apparently Kadri just decided it was going to show up.
It's the one skill he took from him.
Yeah, I guess. Man.
Nas has looked good too. I guess we didn't really talk too much about. I guess we did talk about the second line, but I absolutely just love that. We were talking about Chuchi with Corey and Richie. It's just so good to see that he's carried his momentum, and I think we can gather at this point, this is the way he's going to play for the rest of his career. Hopefully. I mean, this guy has so much. I love just the raw emotion and just drive that he plays with.
I just need him to not go red mist, okay? I just need that.
Oh, Nas, yeah. Let's not. I think he's got it under control, but I said that last time.
It always looks like it's under control, and then all of a sudden it's not. If some guy takes out Nathan MacKinnon, Nazem Kadri is going to get suspended for the rest of the series.
He's going to just go full Marty McSorley on his ass or some shit.
It's just what he does. And, you got to love a guy for that, but at the same time, they need him on the ice. This week's across the rink, and I guess the next week or two, probably. Hopefully it's less shorter, but I mean, Corey and Richie may disagree. This week on Across the Rink is Sporty with Corey and Richie. Conveniently had the ad last week, so anybody who's listening this week gets a full interview with them. How's it going, guys?
It's going good. I mean, anytime we make it in the playoffs, it's a good time. It hasn't happened in 8 years, so we're pretty psyched over here.
I'm sure you are.
For sure, yeah.
But hey, you were already in the playoffs, don't you know?
Well, those were the qualifiers, technically. I mean, I think the stats were counting for playoffs, but it was the gray area.
I hate how they're like, oh, yeah, this is the playoffs. Okay, guys, we can't have the playoffs and then also have teams that get eliminated from this stuff be eligible for the first overall pick, guys. That can't be.
Well, and can you imagine how much Lafreniere, I always say his name wrong. I fuck it up all the time.
Close. I think that's close-ish.
Yeah, but you have to think he has to be licking his chops at this point because of the fact that he is going to end up on a solid team.
Yeah, he's not going to go to a shitty team like normal first overall picks.
Exactly. Yeah. So he was basically watching all of these, and I'm sure he was hoping for all of the upsets that happened too, because basically that just meant that he got to go on better teams.
I couldn't imagine what it would be like to sit there and be like, man, I might be a Pittsburgh Penguin with Sidney Crosby and get drafted first overall.
Right.
Well, that's the thing is it's highly going to – I was trying to figure out who I thought he might want to be on a team with, because you could say, oh, which team would he want to choose? But then at the same time, I think it comes down to who he would want to play with.
I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, a player of his, capabilities to it would have been probably nice for him to have the option of Chicago as well, just to play with, Kane and Taves and all that. But the opportunity to play with Crosby and learn the ways of, leadership that he, has in his toolbox.
Or just light it up with McDavid.
Right. That's the other option too, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, just as long as it's not the Oilers for the fifth time.
Yeah.
Less than a decade.
I don't know if I could handle it. The Oilers winning the draft lottery again. I don't know.
And it's funny because
turn off everything, just go into the forest and live there for a while.
It's funny because we joked about that at the very start of, figuring out all this draft lottery bogus stuff going on. And we're like, watch Edmonton lose their series against Chicago, and then they're going to get that first overall. It's like, oh, all hell's going to break loose.
So thanks for beating Nashville for us. Knocking out another Central team, especially Nashville, is lovely.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad to see that Taylor Hall's not going to win the draft lottery again.
Yeah, that man's had it rigged for years.
It's not sad at all. It's not sad at all. No, it's not sad at all. Because that means that the Coyotes would have lost. And then, yes, Alexi Lafreniere would have been great as a Coyote. but it's better to be in the playoffs than not. And I don't know if you guys saw the celebration on the Coyotes bench that they tweeted out after the goal from Brad Richardson there in Game 4 in overtime. And my favorite thing to do there is there's a lot of stuff going on in that video, but if you watch Taylor Hall, he looks like a kid again. And he probably hasn't felt that in the longest time, especially
That's very true.
Coming out of New Jersey where he didn't win shit, and I think he got swept in the one and only playoff series he was in. So it's like when you see Taylor Hall act like a little kid again on the bench, it gives me at least a little bit of hope that, all right, well, maybe he'll take a little bit of a discount to stay somewhere where that he likes it here.
This is true. I can speak from similar experience. Our listeners know too, but I'm a diehard Leafs fan, so watching Jason Spezza act like a kid again after Game 4's overtime winner was something else too. I can definitely see what you're saying.
So as a diehard Leafs fan, what do you think of the chances of the fact if the Leafs keep continuing down this path, how soon will we get Matthews?
I can't believe you would go there right now. Wow.
How dare you?
So greasy. I mean, I guess I went there too. So I hope never, but I mean, it's a very spicy topic because it's very possible.
I mean, the man is from here. He has a house here.
Yeah.
So
he's set up.
It's one of those things. So,
and he got COVID here too, probably.
Yeah, most likely. Why wouldn't you want to go back there? The thing is, my thought is, if the Leafs don't do anything in the next 3 years, obviously barring this year, so I guess 3 years plus the playoffs, I don't know if anybody's gonna want Matthews there. Like, I'm not saying it's the McDavid kind of theory, right? Like, nobody's gonna say get the hell away from us. But at the same time, if the team hasn't done anything with that core, then it may be one of those things where it's like, man, maybe you just got to move on. I hope it never gets to that point. I hope the Leafs do something. But, I mean, I also hope the Avs do something. So,
well, they're doing something a lot more than the Leafs are doing.
Much more. And with much more confidence. I have zero confidence in the Leafs today.
Attaboy. That's the spirit. So, yeah, you guys eliminated Nashville. I mean, it wasn't too much of a huge fight against Nashville, which is, I got to say, it's pretty impressive. And then here we are. We're going into first round of actual playoffs. We got Avs and Coyotes. What do you guys expect? What's your thoughts heading into this first series?
Richard,
so So I think on our last show, Corey, we had the poll out there about which team you wanted to play. And it was basically, at the time, St. Louis was still in it. And it was like 30% basically to all three teams between Vegas and Colorado and St. Louis. And I've been preaching that the Colorado Avalanche is the perfect matchup for the Coyotes. I wouldn't have liked how the Coyotes would have matched up against Vegas, because Vegas plays that, as you guys saw in that last round robin game, like they play a very heavy style, a style that frustrates you a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then they have the forward depth and Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty coming back healthy, and William Karlsson. They scare me.
Man,
whereas
they are a very good team. Very good team.
Yeah, they were my pick to come out of the Western Conference prior to the playoffs starting.
Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy thought.
Especially with Robin Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury and how they've been playing in the round robin game. But I really think that the Coyotes match up really, really well against the Avalanche. I have a feeling that this series is going to be an absolute track meet between both of these teams. We've seen over the last 2 seasons that the Coyotes play the Avalanche really well, multiple overtime games. Multiple games that are 1 goal and really close, mm-hmm. and they're usually pretty fun. And that's the kind of series I'm expecting. Although I do think Colorado is the better team in pretty much every area, I do think Colorado's probably going to win this series. But I think the Coyotes are at least going to put up a fight, and maybe they might surprise some people. They embraced the underdog role against Nashville, and they came through. Their offense came through, and I'm really excited to watch this series. I don't know. It could go 5, it could go 6, it could go 7. I don't know, but I will give Colorado this. They are the better team, and I would expect them to win this series.
I like it. I mean, at least you're being honest with yourself, you know? You're not being delusional. I agree with that too, and I don't think this will be a short series. As much as I would love it to be a short series,
I'm leaning 6 games.
Yeah, 6-7 games
for sure. Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's I have to agree with a lot of what Richie said, but I think it's really how long it goes and how much of a fight that the Coyotes put up with it is going to depend on their consistency, because of the fact that, like the storyline that everyone loves to pull out of the series against Nashville was, Darcy Kemper, which rightfully he should get acknowledged up and down for that. But I think one of the big things that came out of it is the fact that they did have really good second halves in those last 2 games, but their first 30 minutes or so were pretty rough, and they could be a lot more lethal if they had the consistency and started out strong and were able to play a full 60 minutes of hockey actually on their best game. So I think it solely comes down to how consistent they can be, because they have the pieces to be pretty strong and they can be pretty great and they can come back and, surprise people. I mean, I've said it before, they're always known for being the underdogs and they enjoy being the underdogs. So that's kind of where they play their best. It just depends on if they come and actually show up there. There's quite a few young guys that haven't seen playoffs before, so you can definitely see some of the naiveness in them definitely through that series, and that could be what kills them.
I definitely agree with a lot of that too. Just the style, the Arizona style, the defensive. I don't know. You guys are the ones that cover them, but we talked about how Vegas has the frustrating style of defense, and I think Arizona does a little bit too. I mean, the defensive core in Arizona has been solid for a very long time, especially with still having Ekman Larson and where'd it go? Hjalmarsson. There we go.
Yeah, and
right.
Goligoski too.
Yeah, and Goligoski too, right? Those are some guys that have seen. Well, Hjalmarsson and Goligoski have seen some playoffs, right? And it's they know how to win when it comes to playing a defensively tight series. It's scary. I definitely agree, and the way Kemper's been playing is scary too, right? Part of the reason why, as Avs fans, we were scared of playing Ben Bishop against Dallas, and thankfully that didn't happen. But when the Avs run into a hot goalie, sometimes it's a bit hard to overcome. They don't always do the rough, grindy kind of play and just trying to grind pucks in the net very well sometimes. So it's a bit scary for sure. That being said, I mean, it's Nathan MacKinnon, Cale, Makar, Rantanen, Landeskog, Kadri, all these guys. I think they're going to be able to pull it out, but
hopefully.
It's going to be a really entertaining series, no question about it.
And I mean, if you go back to, the 4th game of the year, which was our first game against the Coyotes, that was a really tight game. I remember that game specifically because it was so defensively tight for 2 full periods. And then all of a sudden, both offenses opened up. 2 goals either way in that 3rd period, and then we won it in overtime. And that's the kind of defensive kind of blockade that the Avs will have to block out and push through, because we've seen throughout this the regular season that the Avs, like you said, you come up against a strong goalie or a strong defense, and sometimes they would wilt a little bit. They'd second guess themselves. Too many passes or whatever. That kind of started to happen in the Vegas game, right? So, and then the second game that we played you guys was in November, and Kemper stole the show. The dude was a stud. And I remember we talked about that, and it was that game, and then one of the games against the Islanders, Varlamov played really well, right? And we just couldn't figure it out. And then once we got frustrated enough, it just kind of got in our heads and couldn't put one past him. So I could definitely see how Kemper could have a huge effect. Of course, we talk about goalies all the time for playoff series, how they can steal a series. Price kind of did it right for against
Montreal.
Pittsburgh there. I think, yeah. I mean, it's scary because I can see, sadly, I don't want to have this vision, but I could see a series that could happen, and that the Coyotes maybe sneak this one out. But as much as I think about that, I just think about the waves of offense that the Avs can have. So it's going to be an interesting series, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. And,
I gotta ask, what have you guys seen out of the offense in Arizona since obviously training camp and finishing the Predators?
It's been impressive, and it's something that Darcy Kemper being the MVP of the Nashville series is the easy narrative, and he played great in games 3 and 4. Did not think he played all that great in games 1 and 2. But in the games that the Coyotes won, they put up 4 goals in each of those 3 games, and they put up 2 in game 2, which was the game that they lost. So you can't sleep on this Coyotes offense one bit. They were not that great. They underperformed pretty much the entire regular season. And then Rick Tocchet, leading up to that Nashville series, was essentially saying, listen, all we need is 0.3 more goals per game, and we're going to win. And that's exactly what they got. They started scoring, and they started scoring from all 4 lines. They started to get scoring from out of nowhere with Michael Grabner, who was, my opinion, was maybe the biggest key to the Coyotes winning the Nashville series, from a name that you wouldn't normally expect. He scored 2 goals. He was the one that let the Coyotes fire under their ass in game 1 with the shorthanded goal to put the Coyotes ahead in that game.
I was going to say, when I saw that Grabner shorty, I'm like, oh, wow, what do you know? Grabner had a shorthanded breakaway? Wow, weird.
Yeah, and so, I mean, and then you look in game 4, and who scored in game 4? It was Brad Richardson. It was Michael Grabner, and it was Jody Osterley. Those are secondary scoring, and if the Coyotes are going to beat the Avs, they're going to have to do that. And Corey, it's something that we talk about all the time on the show, and it was something that Rick Tocchet was talking about on his Sunday press conference too. He was, again, brought it up that they got to have everybody buying in. They got to have everybody sticking to the game plan, and they basically have to play with like an all-21 type of mentality. And that's what we saw in Nashville. And if they can continue that against Colorado, Colorado's going to get frustrated too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's spicy.
We were just talking about it earlier in this episode about how in tight series, it's the secondary scoring that wins them every single time. And yes, the Avs, I think, are a more talented bottom 6 when it comes to offense, but doesn't mean they're going to score. They got to actually get on the board. I said it before too. When this whole thing started, the whole 24 teams, the whole 16 team qualifying round, there was only 2 teams in the NHL I didn't think deserved to be part of that, and it was Montreal and it was Chicago, because those 2 teams actively were trading away assets because they knew they weren't going to make the playoffs. Arizona, I thought, deserved it because they went out and got Taylor Hall. They were trying to make the playoffs. They weren't an 11 seed, in my opinion. Yes, they didn't have the wins, but you guys had so many brutal injuries with your goalies this year. Like, I don't know how a team's supposed to win hockey games.
But we did dump a GM. Does that count?
Well, I mean, sorta. He dumped himself.
That is true.
Which I guess we can talk about that too. What the hell? Why?
Richie?
Yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say, Richie, do you want me to take this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was its own shit show. But at first it initially came out that he had gotten permission by our new owner to go and pursue another opportunity. It was said to be outside of the NHL and that it wasn't a lateral move. Well, then it started to look like Alex Morello, who had just replaced the team's president and everything, that he was kind of going in and cleaning house and putting in all the people that he wants in those positions. So that was kind of a while of everyone kind of losing their shit on him. And then it came out later, after people weren't wanting to say anything, that 48 hours prior to this article coming out, that he had cleaned out, Chaika had cleaned out his desk, that he had quit and just left. And it had come out that in instead of asking for permission, so he had asked for permission to go and do this opportunity, and Morello was like, no, there's no way. I need you here. The team's going to essentially the playoffs, and so I need you in the bubble. And he was like, no, like I need, well, I guess it was before the bubble. It was happening like 2 months prior, and then they were arguing this whole thing out, and he's like, I need you here. This is what we need to be doing. And he was like, no, like I hold up really good business relationships, and I need this networking essentially. And Morello's like, nah, I would still rather you just be here. So he leaves and he goes, and I think the latest on that was New Jersey, from what I've heard, and that he went there, talked to their owner and everything like that, and that he was offered a job there. And so it was in the NHL. I don't think it was a lateral move. I think it was a little bit higher than that, than what he is at as GM. Which is a little bit crazy to think, he is the youngest GM in all of sports. So the fact that he
not only is he the youngest, but he's still very unproven.
Yeah. So it was very ballsy of him, honestly, to get up and try and do something like that. I'm sure he was offered something really nice, and knowing the type of person he is, like he's never been like a complete asshole. So I think the way he did this was very more calculated about it. Was, he looked at the opportunity and thought, this is an opportunity that I can't dismiss. So he went and did that, which rightfully pissed off Morello. And
definitely,
we don't really know what argument ensued behind closed doors during that, but it led to him basically packing his shit up and leaving. And then everyone saw the PR release from the Coyotes, and then his response was basically throwing shade the other direction. So no one fully knows what happened, but that is kind of the rundown of what we know so far.
And we probably never will know exactly what happened there.
I totally get it though, and it's the craziest timing, right? Just if this was in the summer, you can not necessarily sweep it on the rug, but you can at least stomach it a little bit. But the whole like, oh, I'm gonna go get a job outside the NHL or non-lateral move, whatever, and then actually, just kidding, I'm gonna go to New Jersey and GM there. Oh, okay.
I mean, it must at least be kind of nice that Arizona won that series right there against Nashville, because it makes it not be a question of, oh my gosh, was that a distraction?
Yeah.
And then, just kind of brings upon more shade and more shade. So, beneficially, they won that series still. So we can kind of, get over that a little bit. And then
it would be really funny,
continue.
and it's unfortunate the Avs stand in your way, but it would be really funny if this is the year that the Coyotes went on a run. Just
I
so
know,
Chika
right?
can't
That
watch
would be a
it.
giant fuck you.
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. I still can't believe that happened. I can't believe that transpired right before this bubble hockey crap. It's unprecedented. I've never seen a GM just quit. I don't think.
He's an incredibly calculated person, and that's why a lot of times it comes out to the fact of like everyone was asking for like character references, like from people inside the team and stuff like that, about like whether they know him to be this type of person like that would do such a thing, and really he's not. So you have to think he was offered some banana lands job in New Jersey that he just couldn't turn down, and it's really fucked up that he did it. But I can imagine from his side of it, I don't think he thinks it was crazy.
No.
The rest of us, that he thinks a little bit differently than everyone else. So I think the rest of us are like, what the hell were you thinking? And he's like, what? This was a great opportunity. I'm going to try and take it.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I hope we have a good series against the Coyotes. I hope we see some really entertaining hockey. Corey and Richie, thanks for joining us, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, why don't you guys, give us a little plug. Where can we find you and everything?
You can follow us on Twitter at Corey_Richie Show, on the Instagram at Corey Richie Show. I am at rflores91 on Twitter, and we have our store up right now, which you can go buy merchandise. It's all super cool.
Hell yeah.
So I got our sporty logo on it. We have masks, which are really cool that Corey designed. And that link is up on our Instagram and Twitter page. And then Corey, because you do a better job of explaining your Twitter handle than I do.
My Twitter handle is at Corey Nicole. My name's Cori, not Cory or EY or any of the other random things that people want to try. And Starbucks loves to do Corie, which I feel is really extensive. You know,
they just want to do extra work.
I know it's more letters than they needed to write. And then it's Nicole with 2 E's because someone was a bitch and took 1 E, so I'm 2 E's.
That's fair.
All right.
I mean, I understand why Richie gave it to you for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and we will talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Go Yotes.
Once again, that's Corey and Richie from Sporty with Corey and Richie. I know, very, very crazy name. It's good though. It works, and they're great. They're perfect for that name, to be honest. Go check them out on Twitter and all that jazz, like they said. Obviously, we're recording this on Sunday, so we don't know the schedule for when that series is going to take place. I am going to bet it's a Tuesday start because they've been done since Saturday, whereas like Philly and
would seem fitting.
It's like Philly and Boston played today,
and then St. Louis
and Dallas played today. I feel like they'll put those series on Wednesday. Just
would make sense.
Like to me, that's where I would lean. That's my guess.
You see, the NHL doesn't like to make sense a lot of times. So.
This is true. Honestly, the NHL is going to look at this and go, okay, big market and big market, we're going to separate them, and then big market and big market, they're going to go early in front of them, and then we'll get the scraps probably. Unfortunately, but I mean, Arizona is not exactly the largest market in the NHL. So,
hot take.
Hot take.
Hot take the night. Brought to you by Manscaped.
So yeah, I'd imagine the Avs are going to be around the 4:00 mark whenever they do play, and I would guess Tuesday. I need some hot. I can't, man. After, and I know this was all over Twitter, but after watching 6 games a day, to then watching 6 elimination games on Friday, which...
Wow, was wild, man.
The Leafs are the last team I would have expected to be the only team to survive elimination.
Yeah. True.
Like, I would have put money on Edmonton being the only team to save off elimination if there was only one team doing it.
Yeah.
And somehow it was Toronto. But yeah, going from watching 6 elimination, like super meaningful games on Friday, to having 2 round robins only on Saturday was just a shock.
Yeah. It's a shock to the system.
Like I don't know what to do with myself on Saturday. It was ridiculous. I woke up at like 10:30 in the morning and I didn't have hockey to watch.
Turn on the TV. Where's the hockey? What?
It was it was like Twilight Zone or something. Weird.
The days of our lives.
But anyway, I hate you so much. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Go Avs, baby.
The biggest thing you can do to support us is by going to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and giving us a 5-star rating. Also, if you're looking to donate to the network, visit the Hockey Podcast Network's Patreon page. All donations go straight to the podcast host. Thanks, and see you next episode.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter at HockeyPodNet. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.